car guy here. The previous video you just saw right there, that was me breaking a rule. We're going to have a relationship here. And I'm going to guarantee to be at least mildly entertaining and not waste your time. So at least you'll want to come back. That's the goal. But a little backstory on that previous video. It's basically stuff I was shooting. I had started this a year ago and had to put the project on hold. Stuff happened. That's life. It's just the way it is. I didn't have time to devote to building out an entirely custom car engine swap.
Hi, it's a car guy from the future. I'm probably not able to put that video link in the corner, but if you're here, you've seen the other. It's the only other video I have at the moment. Anywho, so to start off, I actually bought 2 engines for this project because I'm not crazy, and the people who own these engines, even if their car is a pile of junk and it's wrecked, and they're still going to try and part it out, which, whatever, it's their car. But more often than not, I found that it was easier to get junk motors. Well, the one you're looking at me work on here now is my second motor. My first motor had a hole in the side of it, which originally I didn't think was the worst, because I was like, okay, I'm going to get a crank, at least 5 pistons, and a head, valve covers. It came with a bunch of the bits, high pressure oil pump, some bracketry. That's going to be hard to get a hold of, and I'll just have to hunt that stuff down one time. And that was fun. Like a valve cover. I think it came with, some odds and ends, like just stuff like that. Well, this is my second motor, and I bought this one after the owner had told me that he threw timing. He's like, I think I popped time. It's probably A-okay. And I'm like, okay, cool. This one's probably got bent valves in the heads, and I will do just fine. I didn't even try to turn it over at the point. Basically looked for make sure I had no holes, because all I'm really after is the block. I figured block, crank. If it's got 6 pistons, it's good to go. Never mind what's going on in the background on the computer. It's just me trying to get some music going on, because I'm recording using my phone. And it recorded this old footage a lot better than it recorded my new footage. But production quality increase, I actually have a camera coming. It was just something I decided to buy because it serves dual purposes. Anywho, my next video I do on this engine is probably going to be up from higher up, so you can see what I'm doing. Right now I'm just like cleaning up all the crap I tore out, basically. Anywho, so this is just me opening her up. Basically, you need a really deep 10 millimeter socket to take the valve cover off. You'll probably see enough people do it. I think I use CTA Tools 1710. It's like a 4-inch deep metric socket, and I think I have a 12 millimeter and a 10 millimeter. You need them both. Like I said, I'm just gonna walk around. You're gonna need an e-torque set. Let's just get started. But anywho, I'm not mechanically stupid. I've got a fair amount of a mechanical knowledge. I grew up around cars. I enjoy them. My family enjoys them. It's something I hope to spend with my family. I think it just so I look smarter. But anywho, so I'm just like getting ready to pop this thing off, and of course, it seems like every time I do a valve cover, they seem to always have more and more bolts. I also have spare timing components from the first engine that I know are in good shape. The other engine was basically being sent. The guy was basically like pretending that he didn't bolt a ton of turbos and boost to it. It was a whole mess. But so far in this whole deal, I'm getting 2 engines. The second engine, which came with bad timing, so it was like this weird thing where the kid was like, I want to do car stuff. And it was he wrecked the family BMW engine, and it was a 330xi. And so, bear in mind, I bought the transmission separate. So far, I have less in 2 engines than I do in transmissions. Those are crazy. I had to literally like see a guy get into a wreck and be like, "Dang, that's rough, my dude." How about that transmission though? Anywho, so it's the next day. I'm basically like, I got to remove the timing. I had actually left stuff in random places. Yes, that is an M50 intake in the background. Don't worry about it. It's for probably a different project. Anywho, I have you'll see it eventually. It's not in the greatest condition right now. Actually, recently, I did take out my driver's side mirror, so it looks kind of like turds right now, and it's about to be put under a tarp. But I will be getting some pictures in so I can like show you. But anywho, in broken engines, I have maybe $600, and that's spare intakes. I have a set of turbos in that setup. Though I did rebuild those. I won't do a video on those. I think there's enough of them. You don't need me to show you how to rebuild a turbo. Somebody else is going to do that for you. I just basically did the cartridge swap for the 11 fan upgrade. Maybe it'll improve performance. It's hard to say. Anywho, cleaning off gunk. Oh man, this one was terrible. You could definitely tell that his problem was oil. And as I'm taking it apart, I'm very quickly like finding out that I don't trust that it's been a timing issue, and I'm showing more and more signs of that as I go. But you know what? I'm going to trust him as a kid. It is what it is. I mean, he had an E46 M3, which was the same. And when I told him what I was doing, he was like, show me. I need to see this when it's done. I think it's cool to see. Anywho, I'm actually, when I get this video to lay it over, I'm going to probably put some stuff in there. Anywho. I'm just still cleaning because, like I said, I'm slowly starting to figure out that this one doesn't have bad timing, and it's got that number 5 rod bearing failure, and I do fix it. Anyways, so you get to the point where you see I'm trying to turn this thing over, and it's not moving, and I'm thinking that that's because, after seeing the first block basically cut in half, I'm thinking it's more due to the fact that the timing is bad, and I've got a valve hitting a piston, and I'm like, okay, cool, that's totally deal withable. It's basically a head I can practice on to port and polish, something I will intend to do. There'll probably be a video on it. We'll see how that goes. Anywho, so I'm just taking out more timing components. I am being kind of willy-nilly with them, because I already have a set in bags ready to go. I've like I said, I did it to a different engine, but like I said, that engine wasn't a great candidate to build from, so this is where I'm at. I've got all like the spare water pump stuff. Yeah, you see the cassette for the timing. I don't know what else to call that. If you know the name of what it actually is called, put it in the comments. I intend to reply. I'm gonna basically try to get people to help me find out the answers I need to know, because I need to know certain things. Like right now, my big hang up is trying to find a similarly dimensioned drive shaft from one of the 335s that will fit roughly where my stuff is on my E46. Oh, yeah. All right. So what you're watching me do here now is pull out. There's a bunch of little tiny bolts. He has the hidden head bolts. These are what I call them. They're not full length. They're tiny. They're in there. You're going to need to get them. I think one was covered in oil, like it was under oil and you couldn't see it, but they're in there. Basically, like, if a good trick is to do the pizza box thing. What you're looking at right there is 2 tools I also use for this. It's effectively a really, really long, I think it's like a T55 and a T45, and you need both of them. Oh, yeah, this is me trying to turn that around, and I figured I needed that to help. I'll end up leaving it on. It's a big deal. Say I'm willing to spin it this way just because I can. Just because their cam actually has to be in a particular alignment for you to break the head bolts. Here I am finding it's just easier to turn it here. That's just, like I said, it's really long. Like, I believe it's a T55. I could go check in a minute. Right, so here I am with the T60. It's been a minute since I did the other recording. It's not as smooth as transition as you're gonna think it is. But yeah, so here I am. Actually, there's a mild cut here we're about to get where I discovered that all my batteries are dead. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do real fast? Let me just. Anywho, so basically, finding out that all my batteries in my drill are dead, and then I'm gonna be like, okay, so I put a battery on the charger, and we're gonna cut ahead to later on that day. Actually, I ended up running them all through before I remembered that I hadn't turned the camera back on, so you missed basically just me breaking them loose with the impact, and you didn't miss much. I mean, that's all it is. But you're working out the big ones. I think these are the M12 bolts, whereas the T50 is the M11. I don't know quite yet if I'm going to do the bolt upgrade, but the option might be there. I've heard some noise about that, and I know 0 to 60, great N54 information page, does some stuff with some bolts from like diesel engines into there. Yeah, see, they're in there. They're in the cam ledges. You gotta like weasel them out. If you don't have the really long ones, you gotta take the cam ledges off, and you need a tool for that, as I understand it. I haven't seen anybody take them off, actually, though, but I also haven't been looking, so there's that. So you're just gonna watch me pull out a few more bolts. I figured if I left the cam and the head attached, I would probably be better off. One less thing broke open. Though now I think I'm probably going to have to look into seeing if the ledges are any good. Like I said, I have a spare head, so I get to see out of all of my heads whether or not it's any good. Yep. Don't let how easy that was fool you. That shit was still heavy as hell. It was gasket, just checking a few things. I realized that it is probably a factory put on because they did not drill out the rivet you should probably drill out to improve your chances of having a good head gasket. Anywho, taking off the windage tray. Just looking to see if there's a I've figured out cylinder 5 is bad, and I'm basically just trying to see what level of damage I've got. Unlike my previous motor, this windage tray is just one piece, so that's a plus. Just let me get this off real fast. So you watch me wiggle them around. There it is. Yep, number 5. It's always number 5. I think the wife was actually watching and asking what I was up to. That's why I wiggled it again. Me trying to get it off. It's all that suction vacuum. Like I said, it was a spun bearing, not a wrecked out rod, which is easier to deal with. But yeah, you just see me take the whole thing out, look at the bearing. And I think that's where we're going to call it. I mean, not much else happens here. You're going to watch me just push out that piston until it hits the ground. I'm not reusing this piston.
And that's that. Next one, you're going to see me plastic gauge the rod bearings. I'm cleaning pistons right now, but I have a video of that, but it is incredibly boring. Plastic dip the rod bearings, and I've got the Drift HQ E46 M3 engine swap, or E46 N54 engine swap. So I'm going to do a review on that, tell you what I think about it, what I feel about it. Like I said, all I want to know is if anybody knows the lengths of every 335 I, XI, CI, SI, anything that's at an M54 manual transmission in it. I want to know if anybody knows all the drive shaft lengths, ideally in inches, but I'll take it in millimeters or centimeters or meters. I can convert it. I'll see you in the next one.